I think I have evolved over time. Um, my routine in the morning is a little different than it used to be. When I first started meditating, I literally would sit up in bed and just sit in bed and then close my eyes. I was still completely sleepy, but I was awake enough to know that my body was not, going and slipping back into delta. And I could sit there for an hour easily. And that was the easiest way for me to kind of get into meditation. I was still kind of remembering a dream state. I've been like really focused on my breath and getting into a rhythm of breath before I let go. Today, my meditation practices are a little different. I have a different morning routine. I would say probably over the last like 5 or 6 years, I do like to get up, brush my teeth. I'm a big fan of that. And then I will go to a chair that I have as my kind of my meditation chair, and I will have my tea, and I will sip on my tea and look out the window, and I will contemplate. And once I have that, and that's probably for about 15 minutes, and then I get myself into a comfortable state of meditation. And the way that I do that again is I go through a qigong breathing technique where I am forcing myself to deeply breathe in, holding that breath, and then releasing that breath. And it's a practice. And while I'm doing that and breathing that deeply, the deep breath in, holding my breath at the top, releasing it, I am squeezing those intrinsic muscles, which are the sex organs, and you squeeze that at the bottom, at the top of the breath. So when I breathe in all the way up to the top of my head and hold it, I squeeze, and then I release when I exhale my breath. And then and I know this sounds like a lot of stuff to do, but this is, again, as Chris said, you'll come up with your own practice if you haven't already, and just like tweak and, what works for you, because we're all individual. At the same time, I am very clear about all of the 7 or 9 chakras that are within our physical, close proximity to our physical form. And I open those up like um, a lotus petal. So I feel the crown, and I'm very, specific during the breath, and then I let that open. And then I feel the third eye, and I take some breaths, and I wait for that to fully open. And then the throat. And so when all of those are aligned, and sometimes that takes 30 minutes, sometimes it takes 5 minutes, but I give myself enough time. And in about an hour is the typical amount of time. Once I am in that, then I just breathe without effort. I have my eyes closed. I'm sitting up. My back is resting lightly against a chair. Sometimes people sit up, but I always uncross my legs. I keep my hands, my palms faced upward, that are resting comfortably on my thighs. My eyes are closed, but they're not shut. They're just closed mostly. And then I lift my gaze up, not to strain your eyes, not to cross your eyes, but I lift my gaze up to meet right in between the eyebrows. So if my eyes are mostly closed, and then I just gently lift my eyes that in between my eyebrows. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't feel a strain. And again, when you start to practice that, you're going to notice that your third eye is going to start to pulsate. This point in between here, which again, directly behind it is your pineal gland, and it's just going to start to kind of pulsate. And sometimes that pulsation can be so profound that your whole face feels like it's pulsating, right? And maybe the crown and that whole area feels like it's pulsating. But you can't get it wrong. And whatever works for you, but these are, really intricate steps of the how to, which we know that our audience has asked
And also,
of. Yeah.
there's like for the beginners out there that are just getting into this, you can start with guided meditations too. Like there's so many guided meditations, of course, for free on YouTube. Find some that resonate with you. There's ones for anything. You can get specific with the theme of your meditation, if it's for abundance or bringing romantic love into your life or whatever you want. You can likely find a guided meditation that also probably is going to have some frequencies and some soundscapes that also can help get you into that state of consciousness. And I can quickly touch on
Yeah,
some.
Chris, I mean, this is your area. So if you could, because what I didn't say is that I'm always listening to sound on my earbuds. And depending on that frequency, and sometimes I do listen to guided meditation, and we can talk about that a little bit. But the sound is so important. So listen up to this.
Yeah, so it's really one of the easiest ways that we can start to meditate is to use sound as a tool and as like in a way kind of like training wheels, but also training wheels that you can leave on forever and they're not going to constrict you, even though silent meditation's of course important and wonderful as well. But having frequencies and beautiful soundscapes, music, whatever, to accompany you is great, and for so many different reasons. So one of the things you can start to think about and look for when you're meditating is types of music and frequencies that will get you into those states of consciousness that you're looking for. So as an example, if you're starting the day with a meditation, you're likely wanting to wake your body up, right? I mean, you still want to meditate and get into that deep place, but eventually the whole point is to bring yourself into the day, to have energy to do what you need to do. So you can listen to frequencies that are maybe in the alpha range where they're still meditative and they're still contemplative and they're in between that asleep and awake state of consciousness, but it is bringing you into more the alertness. And you can look on YouTube as an example. You
What
can,
is that though exactly? I mean, can you give us a number range? What is that?
yeah, I always I forget to be honest, the specific frequencies for alpha. I'll pull that up in a second and I'll let people know. But basically, these are we're getting into the realm of binaural beats essentially,
Mhm.
and we've got your deepest state, which is the delta state of consciousness, which is I think 0.5 hertz to about 4 hertz roughly, and that's you are unconscious, out deep, deep, deep sleep. That's that state of consciousness. So then, if you're looking to have a deep sleep, maybe listening to a delta wave binaural beat might be helpful. Or you could go one up into theta. And theta is still very deep, but it's getting more into the alert stage. Okay. So maybe that might work better for you. Or you want to go to that next stage, which is the alpha stage. Okay, so alpha's now we're alert, we're awake, but we're still in that like you're kind of lying in bed state, right? You're just waking up, you're still very in and out of the dream state. Okay, but maybe we want to move beyond alpha. Then we get to beta. So then beta is okay, now we're awake. I mean, you were talking about that earlier, Lisa. It's like beta is now like we're awake, we're doing things. That's a great frequency to listen to, certainly during a meditation, but also you can listen to while you do work because it actually helps with productivity and things like that, concentration, focus. And then, of course,
Yeah, I
there's
was going to
gamma.
say concentration. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And then there's gamma wave, which is even higher. That gets upwards to about 40 hertz and even above, actually up to 100 hertz. And that's like when you're, let's say, use an example as an athlete and you're about to play a sport, and you are playing a sport and you're hyper concentrated and you're physically like go, 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 go. And your body's pretty much operating at its like peak state, let's say. That's the gamma wave state. So to bring it all back, if you want watching, listening audience, you can type in to Google brainwave frequencies, and that's what will come down is these, delta, theta, beta, alpha, gamma, and you can look at what they represent, what they mean, because I find is when you do your own research this way, this will also help distill it into your mind, and
Hmm.
then that can
Hmm.
help you search for the appropriate binaural beat that you ultimately want to find. And then those binaural beats, when you listen with headphones, which is very important too, listening to binaural beats with headphones, it will literally send different frequencies into each of your ear, that creates an interference pattern that actually just like actually formulates or shifts your brain, your consciousness into that given state of consciousness. So it like the frequency kind of does the work for you. So going back, let's say we're listening to an alpha wave and you're already kind of getting the monkey mind going. You put on your alpha wave frequencies, it's going to bring you back into that calm state without you really having to do anything anymore. Now we can still do the breath and do these other things, but now that you're listening to these frequencies, it really is like the training wheels. Like you can't, it's gonna work. It, trust me. I mean, these binaural beats are powerful, and they really do bring you into that state of consciousness. So you can start to use that to your advantage when you meditate. And then there's other things too. You can search for just soothing music might be really helpful. Maybe you don't need the binaural beats. Maybe you need nature sounds, like the sound of running water in a creek or birds. So again, this is going to come down to you, the individual. What do you need that's going to help get you into that state? But using sound of some kind, whether it's soothing music, maybe it's like a really ambient piano or guitar that just seems to bring you into that state. Maybe it's these nature sounds I was describing, the sound of water, you know, things like that, wind, soft wind on the leaves, you know, what makes you get into your relaxed state? Because sounds are so powerful. And once you start to just experiment and go and you listen to different ones, and all of a sudden, I mean, you are the test, you're the litmus test, right? When you play that sound, how does your body react? Does it go, ah, like you kind of sigh and your body can relax immediately? That's probably going to be the sign that your body's giving you that that's the right sound to listen to.